Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the entire planet just decided to block the US dollar, like getting blocked by your ex, but globally. Oil? Chaos. The stock market? Utter panic. Government? Sweating harder than a day trader who just accidentally short Nvidia with his whole life savings. But here's the $1 trillion question. Why does the entire planet trust a green piece of paper printed in one single country? And more importantly, are we watching the end of the rain right now? Welcome to TradingBits X. This channel is all about decoding the economy from the ground up. No noise, just signal. Today we're breaking down the ultimate financial cheat code. Why does the US dollar dominate the world? Trust me, if you want to understand how money actually moves behind the scene, this is the most important concept in global finances. If you enjoy decoding the matrix of the global economy, hit that subscribe button right now. This serial literally building the full unfiltered map of the global financial system. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Do you think the US dollar will still dominate 20 years from right now? Let me know in the comments below. The dollar is the global operating system. Most people think the dollar is simply the currency of the United States. That is just the money Americans use to buy coffee and pay rent. But in reality, the dollar is the operating system of the global economy. Think of like Windows or iOS. You might not love it, but your entire machine runs on it. International trade, global banking, commodity markets, government reserves, corporate debt, everything connects back to the dollar. Every country that absolutely despise US foreign policy are still locked inside the dollar system. Why? Because the dollar became the world's most trusted financial infrastructure, and the global rule of economics is this: once a financial system becomes truly global, it becomes incredibly painful to replace it. Origin story, how we got here. To understand the how and the why, we have to rewind to the end of World War II. In 1944, Europe was financially ruined. The global economy was shattered, but the United States, it emerged as an untouched industrial titan. At that time, Americans held the majority of the world's physical gold reserve, massive manufacturing capacity, and unmatched political power. This led to the Bretton Woods Agreement. In simple terms, Allied countries agreed to link their local currency to the US dollar, and the dollar was officially pegged to gold at $35 an ounce. Overnight, the dollar became the anchor of global finance. But wait, in 1971, President Richard Nixon shocked the world and took the dollar off the golden standard. So why didn't the dollar collapse? Because by then the trap was already set. The world was already addicted to the dollar network. Shortly after dropping gold, the US struck a deal with Saudi Arabia. Price all of your oil in dollars and we will give you military protection. This created the Petrodollar. Now, if any country in the world wanted to buy oil to power their economy, they needed dollar first. Global trade and the network effects. This brings us to the first pillar of dominance, global trade. Most international trade is invoiced in dollars, not because countries are forced to at a gunpoint, because everyone else is already doing it. Imagine a country in Asia buying copper from South America. Neither of those countries is in the United States, yet they will likely settle the transaction in US dollar. Why? Because it avoids the friction of converting two highly volatile local currency. The dollar acts as the universal translator for global commerce. This creates a massive network effects. It's exactly like social media. A new app might have better features, but if all your friends, family, and clients are already on WhatsApp or Instagram, switching is almost impossible. The more people use the dollar, the more stable it becomes, and the more stable it becomes, the more people are forced to use it. the dollar debt trap. Now we reach the absolute core of dollar dominance, and something that mainstream media rarely explains: global debts. Governments, massive corporations, and international banks outside the United States borrow trillions of dollars. Why would a company in Brazil or a government in Africa borrow in dollars instead of their own currency? Because dollar market offered lower interest rates and massive pool of investors are ready to lend. But this creates a deadly consequence. When you borrow in dollars, you have to pay back in dollars. If the US Federal Reserve raises interest rate to fight domestic inflation, the value of the dollar shoots up. Suddenly, that Brazilian company has to spend way more of their local currency just to buy the dollar needed to pay their debt. This is called the dollar wrecking ball. This is why a single speech by the Federal Reserve Chairman can instantly trigger a recession in a developing country halfway across the world. The world is physically chained into the dollar liquidity. Liquidity, the real superpower. Most people think dominance comes strictly from military power, and while aircraft carrier matters, financial liquidity might be the deadliest weapon of all. Liquidity simply means how fast and easy can you move billions of dollars without crashing the markets. The US Treasury market is the deepest swinging pool of capital on earth. When a global crisis hits, like a pandemic, a war, or a massive bank failure, what do investors do? They panic, but they don't run away from dollars, they run towards them. During global panics, investors don't risk assets and buy US Treasury bonds because they know they can sell them instantly if they need cash. Even when a financial crisis originate inside the United States like in 2008, the world still runs into the US dollar for safety. That level of psychological conditioning is unparalleled. The invisible pillar, institutional trust. But all of this, the trade, the debt, the liquidity, rests on one invisible foundation: trust. I'm not talking about trust in politicians, I'm talking about institution trust. When billionaires, central banks, and sovereign wealth funds part trillions of dollars in a country, they need absolute certainty. They trust the US legal system, they trust their property rights, they trust the rule won't change overnight without transparency in court process. You cannot simply launch a new currency and demand the world to use it. Reserve currencies are built over decades of economy stability and legal credibility. Money is fundamentally driven by psychology. You only accept it today because you are 100% confident someone else will accept it for you tomorrow. Can the dollar be dethroned? So comes the final question. Could another currency or system replace the dollar? We see the headlines every day. De-dollarizing is here. BRICS is launching a new currency. Gold is replacing paper. Could the dollar be replaced? In theory, yes. But replacing the dollar is dramatically harder than a rival tweet suggests. Look at what a competent system actually needs to win. To dethrone the dollar, a challenger doesn't just need a good idea, they need open capital markets. If you can't freely take your money out of the country whenever you want it, you will never store your national reserves there. Now, will the world become less dependent on the dollar? Absolutely, that is already happening. We're seeing bilateral trade agreements outside the dollar, heavy central banks, gold buying, and the rise of digital payments rail. But there is a massive gap between less dependent and full replacement. The dollar network took 80 years to build. A system that heavy does not evaporate overnight. Why this matter to you? You might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is a great macroeconomy, but why should I care? You must care because dollar dominance dictates the reality of your daily lives. It directly impacts the inflation you feel at the grocery store, interest rate you pay on mortgage or car loan, the value of your stock and crypto investment, the purchasing power of your savings. When the dollar moved, the tectonic plate of the world shifted. Understanding the dollar means understanding the physics of modern wealth. But here is where this story gets even crazier. The US dollar is just the foundational layer. On top of it sits a hyper-connected web that is more fragile than it looks. Today's global economy is so intertwined that a factory shutting down in Asia, a ship getting stuck in a canal, or a bank failing in Europe can trigger instant panic in your local economy. One chop, instant global transmission. How did we get to a point where a crisis on the other side of the planet can wipe out your investment portfolio in seconds? That brings us directly in our next video, globalization and financial interdependence. We're going to expose the hidden global supply chain, the mechanics of financial contagions, and why in today's interconnected market absolutely nothing moves alone. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with one friend who still thinks the global economy is just about their local currency. And remember, money, markets, we're trading the future. See you in the next one.